A delight to be here, and thanks to everyone who works to make Words Aloud happen. Hazel and Liz and Terry and Anne and everyone else, Amber and all of the many folks that make this happen. So I am looking forward to a wonderful festival, and I'll be checking out all kinds of things in the next couple days. So I will read to you from my second book, A Good Time Had by All. And it begins with an epigraph by the poet Elizabeth Bishop, one of my favorites. And the epigraph is, "The art of losing isn't hard to master." And it sort of informs the whole book. And a certain particular stage in my life, which was, I suppose, a tough one. I think we all go through those periods, and I think I've come out of that. So that's a great thing. But I'll begin with a poem. I used to be a smoker. I loved smoking. Still miss it. And I know it's a filthy habit, but Lord, it was lovely. It was a great way to just, let off a bit of steam. So I wrote an ode to the cigarette, essentially. And I wrote this shortly after I quit. And it's titled Ode to Dirty Donnie, or Nick Fit. And when I was in high school, we used to call our cigs Dirty Donnies. I don't know why, but, so I gave them a name. And it begins with an epigraph again, this time by John Bon Jovi, the band Bon Jovi. I don't know if you're familiar with the song. These lines, "Shot through the heart and you're to blame. Darling, you give love a bad name." And you're just lucky I didn't really sing that, because it'd clear the room, man. Randy, you can cough if I start to sing anytime I make a mistake. So I'll begin with the poem. A gift slipped through the diamond eye of chain link fence, filterless, home rolled by Sacred Heart's sexiest metalhead. Sucked to butt, pinked by lips glossed trouble gum, I flicked you from my index and my thumb. A schoolgirl trick, I watched you arc in the air, crash burn on hoary ground. Hooked, my body a haven for craven A's, smoke rings hung like halos over my head. You, my loathsome lover, blistered my lips, dragged me from bed before the alarm. Empty, obsessed, I scavenged under couch cushions for coins. A goner from the first pull, I couldn't quit on you, my beau. Thanks. It was a love affair. We finally broke up. Still bad though. I'll finish work on certain days, and when I was working more in an office, and I'd come out and someone would light a cigarette and be walking down the street in front of me and puffing, and I'd be following them, just sort of taking it in. I thought, this is pathetic, man. Gosh, especially health is so important, and so fleeting. It can end, so quickly. So I'll shift tones here a bit. This poem is called An Old Broad's Belongings. And it's essentially about death. When I lived in Montreal, there was an elderly woman who lived across the road from me. And she was ailing, and she died. And I watched from my sort of second floor balcony as her kids just sort of gutted her house. But one of the things that sort of really sort of, hooked me in is, even before she had died, I still remember the body being taken out of the house, they started selling off her belongings in little garage sales on the front lawn and whatnot. And I would walk by and I'd see people going through this woman's sort of lifetime of stuff, right? And it sort of broke my heart, and I thought about, a reverence for life and the lack of, to sort of be selling away someone's belongings as they lie there, and, it was crazy. So this is called An Old Broad's Belongings. When the old broad who lived across the road went kaput, I hoped nobody'd refer to me as the old broad, and in the sick chambers of my brain, I wondered if she'd been up there long. The broad's kids parked haphazardly in her lane, hustled from their cars. 2 daughters, garish as Gerber daisies, cleaned house, while the son, a capital V virgin, I'm sure, played with the stake of a for sale sign. After several puncture wounds to the lawn, it stood erect. I'd been to estate sales before, but not like this. The impression of her lower lip, violet number 21, imprinted on a goblet, selling for a dime, and the dregs of her final breath crawling out the door. Thank you. You are a lovely audience. It's delightful. Sometimes I get tired of reading. I've had some real bombs. Or I leave and I'm just like, why do I bother? Oh, I'm just being honest. Despair. All right, this next poem, it's about boozing. I worked in a bar for many years. I was a bartender for many years, and left that behind too. And what I saw was often a lot of sadness, of course, right? When you have regulars at a bar, it means they're coming there every day because they want company, they're lonely, they don't want to sit at home and drink alone, and they look at the bartender and the other regulars around the bar as their family, in a sense, right? And I knew it was time to leave when I would see so-and-so come in the door, and I'd be like, crap, I can't listen to him again tonight, you know? But it was heartbreaking in a way, and, you know, in a way, it's a good role to play, to be a bartender. I mean, you learn a lot about people, and you learn a lot about love and patience and whatnot. So this is titled, "It's All the Hair of the Dog That Gets to You." It's been one humdinger of a shindig if you find yourself midway on Sunday, heading for the tavern end of the road. Lady Booze still marauding your organs, time to murder the dirge of decorum, uncoil the kicks, kick off yesterday's reek, macerate with drink any puritanical stirrings. Swiftly goes the blessed barmaid with a run in her nude pantyhose, gimlet, Bloody Mary, she's a siren fixing elixir. The broken vessels on your nose are a map of the liquors that unburden your soul. Pat down your pockets, I'll take another. King of the Caesars, barstool your throne. Thanks again. So I'll read a short one and then just a couple more. And this is titled On the Threshold of Eternity, and it's after Vincent van Gogh's painting Old Man in Sorrow. This old man sort of sitting with his head hanging in a chair. On the threshold of eternity. Come not my way, eternity. What does it mean to be human? You ask why my head is in my hands, why I do not look up. I am lucky, so I will sit in this chair. I am lucky enough to sit here and stare. Thanks. All right. This one, I actually titled this poem, and I shouldn't have done it, after a real living person who grew up in this area, so I hope no one recognizes it. Shouldn't have done that. At the time, it sounded like a great idea. But this is essentially a poem about a kid who's been bullied, and I know that, that's, big everywhere now, that it's the topic of, what it is to be bullied and be a bully and whatnot, and it should be. And I didn't write this poem because of sort of the surgence of awareness and whatnot, but I wrote it out of real meaning, and I suppose regrets you have. When you're a child, you can be mean, and you grow up and you know better, but you look back and you think, ugh, So this poem is titled, Where Are You, Billy Spano? You rat, you bastard. Where are you now? Failing to raise Cain in limbo, for God knows heaven never rang for you her gracious bell. Remember me, Billy Spano, your torturer, tormentor? I'm the girl who yanked your pants down in the park, who called you nasty names and passed them round the lots. Where are you, little Billy, little goat, little man who couldn't tell his left foot from his right? Weren't you the boy who'd wet his joggers at the prospect of a fight? A rat-tat-tattle, a stray, the scoundrel, mangy, tethered to a stake, whose ma forgot to pack his lunch, to pat his head, to say goodbye the day she finally split. Oh, Billy, one spring morning I found you tracing circles on your trike. Far from the clangor of schoolyard barbs, we scuttled down a clover-laden hill, caught craws and kissed the cool white bellies of slow spy-hopping frogs. That day, I didn't mind your toneless whistling, outlandish garbled thoughts, how you chewed and spat your filthy fingernails. We were the beginnings of a plot, you plus me, Billy S. Look, you said, that fella there is flying off the bridge. The man's retort, a splat gore that ran and ran like water through cupped hands. Billy, Bill. A teenager, you'd mimic that same flight, de-winged. Billy, it was you who leaned in close. I can hear your ski coat rustling in the dark, your nostrils clogged with snot. Never frightened you, that big shot death. You came in for the kiss, ruthless. Thanks again. And I'll end with this. It's a little more upbeat, but not so much. I tend to be a little bit of a darker writer. I like humor, but I don't know. Can't escape the sadness. This is titled, Season's Greetings from Your Hometown IGA. And this is about essentially a staff Christmas party, right? Right. So season greetings from your hometown IGA. The month of December teeming with testimonials, tales of staff parties passed from till to till, mythologizing the fevered boogie nights of bag boys, cashiers. Dwindled be the days spent scanning, stalking, biding time until break, bitching over smokes and muffins about those ladies and gentlemen who question prices and addition. Fuck 'em. This party will be swinging. Hey, Santa will be there this year for a gag. Some gal might tug his beard and the GM might giggle about the days when the boys would snap the back of her brassiere. After a slippery number of rums, Rodney will get lucky in the back seat of his Buick and talk of the gal he's bagged. Skank, ho, will zing through every aisle the morning after. But not before the sweaty slow dancing, team-building cheers, presents, piñata, tears. Then it's back to work, punching clock, pushing cart, cussing life, its dirty reason. Thank you.